You are listening to the Estheticians Ernie Moore podcast with Brittany Higginman, episode number 200. Do you want to double your business in 1 year? Are you an esthetician solo business owner that is very, very tired because you are working for every single dollar that you earn? Are you making between $5,000 and $7,000 a month consistently in your esthetician business? And the only way that you can see that you can make more money is to add more hours? Is the money going out of your business just as fast as it's coming in? Do you feel like you're on the verge of burnout? Do you not understand how other estheticians can actually make a profit? If you say yes to any of these questions, I can help you. In my one-to-one 6-month individualized coaching program, I will teach you to double your business in 1 year. I combine proven strategies and business systems along with mindset coaching to teach you how to change the systems in your business that aren't making you money. My clients that have incorporated all of these systems into their business consistently have seen phenomenal results. If you're interested in working with me, use the link in the show notes. I cannot wait to meet you. Happy Monday and welcome back. I cannot believe I have done now, this is my 200th podcast episode. It is very wild to me, and I am so honored to be here chatting with you still. I didn't know if I was going to do 5 podcasts, so now 195 podcasts later, I'm still here. I'm doing a giveaway in honor of my 200th episode. Super simple to enter. So for the next 2 weeks from when this podcast is aired, which is Monday, May 19th, 2025. To enter, all you have to do is either in a post, a reel, or a story on Instagram or on TikTok, share a podcast episode that you've loved or talk about my podcast. Make sure you tag me. You can share one of my videos, one of my reels I've made about podcasts. I will also have posts about this giveaway. You can share anything, honestly, that I've created, anything about me, as long as you tag me so I know to count your entry. And the winner is going to get $100 cash via PayPal from me to you as a thank you. So super easy to do. If you just want to get $100 cash, there's unlimited entries. You can do it every day for the next 2 weeks, multiple times a day. So I'm super excited. And good luck. I hope you win. Okay, today we are going to talk about your compelling reason to make your business work. Now, this can be if you are just starting out your business. This can be you're 5 years in and you are dealing with lots of things that are hard that makes it sometimes like you want to give up. So many times in a business journey, it's normal to want to give up, to feel like this is not going to work. That is very, very normal in owning a business. But if you don't have a compelling reason to keep going, it's going to be really hard to push through those hard moments. And I have these conversations a lot with my clients, especially if they're feeling so burned out that they're like on the verge of quitting. We have to figure out the compelling reason to keep going. Because if they don't have that, it's very easy to give up. And it's okay to quit. I also want to some of my clients are like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm like, okay, so what would you do? What would that look like? If that's an option, I support that. So this is not trying to get you to quit your business, but we really want to look at it as fuel for your business and keeping your eye on that. Because if you lose sight of why you're here and why you're doing this business, it's really easy to get overwhelmed and bogged down by things that don't matter. So let me first talk to you about my why in my business and how it's evolved since I first opened up my first business in San Diego and BLH Beauty in 2017. And I'm going to walk you through that. And then I'm going to talk about different reasons I've heard from clients, some that are compelling that I know when they tell me this reason that there's zero chance they're going to fail. And some, when they tell me a reason, I'm like, that isn't compelling enough, and you may not push through the hard to do it. Okay, so let's first start with my story. If you listen to this podcast for the last 200 episodes, or if you're brand new, welcome. Long story short, I opened my business in 2017. I had just gotten married. I'd been an esthetician for a little over a year. I'd worked for someone else. I had never really planned to open my business. It just was the best next step for me. And I had previously worked at Target in a corporate job where I made a lot of money, but I absolutely hated the job. My hair was falling out from stress. It was just a very, very challenging job. And I like to say, like, owning a business is so much easier for me than working for Target. Target was a boot camp that never ended. Because one of the things at Target particularly, I don't know if this is true for all retail, but I suspect this is true, is like there's no such thing as anything ever like being done. Because as soon as you stock a shelf, someone's going to come and shop the shelf, which means they're going to move things around. They're going to buy things from it. As soon as you accomplish anything in the store, it resets the next day, the next week, the next hour. You work really hard, like getting red cards, which is one of the things that my team was responsible for. Every day, the goal restarted again. It wasn't cumulative. I was in charge of like Starbucks and Target Cafe. You can work really hard one day and like it makes no difference. You still have a million more coffee orders the next day. It just never stops. Like there's no like, that was really hard. We worked really hard. We're going to have a little bit of an easy couple days now. We can just chill. Like that isn't a thing in retail. And I learned that wasn't for me. I needed to have like ebbs and flows in my daily work, and where there's like harder seasons and lighter seasons. And the esthetician world is actually really great for that because there are slow seasons in the esthetician world. Anyways, I am rambling. Let me get back to my original point. So this was my situation. My husband had decided right before we got married that he also was working at Target as an assistant store manager, and he wanted to quit and become a pilot. And that was going to be a massive investment for us. We knew it was going to be over $100,000 we'd have to pay. And so we moved into a studio apartment with our sweet dog, who I love and miss every day. She died 2 years ago, but she was, like a normal age dog at the time. And we moved into this tiny apartment, and like the kitchen was in our bedroom, it was a studio apartment. And we lived there for over a year, and I knew I had to not just like make a profit in my business, I had to pay our bills so he could quit his job, because he was not going to be making money for 1 year while he was in school. He'd already gotten one license, but he had like 5 more licenses he needed to get. And the best program for long list of reasons was like a full-time program. So he was going to be in school for a year, making no money. And we had savings, but we didn't want to live off our savings. We really wanted to like just not go into debt or take out of our savings because we had massive bills coming with his flight school. So this wasn't something I hoped would work, or I had a fantasy about of what it would look like. I didn't like sit there and be like, I'm just going to like go to work every day and just like whatever, and it's just going to be easy and like easy money and like residual income. I didn't have like a fantasy, which I think a lot of people, I actually haven't experienced this with any of my clients, but I know just from watching a lot of people in the esthetician world, this is a fantasy that people have, where it's like, I like just kind of like you're an employee for yourself. Like you don't really have to do anything but show up to work. I haven't experienced that. Like I said, with any of my clients, they all know they have to show up to work. But so my compelling reason was I had to pay my bills for me and my husband. For the first time in my life, I had somebody else I was supporting. So my foot was on the gas pedal. I took very little time off from work. I was always marketing. I did not turn down any money. I was doing makeup. I was doing all sorts of things. I didn't, my husband and I never went out to dinner. We were on an incredibly tight budget. I didn't get my hair done. I didn't get my nails done. I didn't have any extra expenses than groceries, gas, And it was fine because we knew it was temporary and we were working towards a goal, both of us in different ways, but the same goal. And I have to tell you that is hard. That's a hard space to be in. If you know it's temporary, it's a lot easier. So my business started to really take off in 2018, 2019, and then I got pregnant with our daughter and COVID happened, and we'd already planned on moving to the Bay Area because I knew he'd be working a lot, flying to be near my family. So we did that. So I eventually decided to start this coaching business in 2020, just kind of for a number of reasons, but and my compelling reason was financial independence. And I know that's going to sound really weird because my husband and I are such partners, but I am not, I'm not naive, and I know things can happen in the world. Accidents happen. Nothing's guaranteed. And I didn't want to wake up one day and have no way to feed myself and my daughter. If something happened to my husband, even though we have all these different plans in place for something like that happen, it wouldn't be, you know what I mean? We've been good planners. We've been good, very conscious with the way that we've been living our lives. But again, nothing is guaranteed. And so I was like, I have to be able to support my child if it's just me and her. And I haven't been able to work as much as I want to because of decisions I've made with being a parent, and I'm very happy with that. But I also know if I had to go from part-time work to full-time work, the work would be there because I know how to get clients. I know how to continue to build my business, and feeding my daughter and providing a house for her is very, very compelling for me. Nothing will get in my way. I forgot my stepmom. At one point we were talking about it and I was like, yeah, if something happened, to Nick, my husband, and she was like, oh, you would be fine. You would figure it out. We wouldn't worry about you being able to pay your bills. And I think because the compelling reason is I would never let my daughter and I not, have food and things we needed. So these are compelling reasons. This is something that when you are feeling disappointed and frustrated and exhausted, it gets you up and gets you going. And without a compelling reason of this magnitude, it won't give you that same motivation. It feels more like a hobby, or it feels more like a nonprofit, a volunteer job, something that you're doing for other people than for yourself. So the first part of your compelling reason is it has to do with you, not with your clients, not with other people. It has to do with you. Maybe that means you live in an apartment and you've always wanted to live in a house. Maybe that means you, like me, have a partner that is providing for you financially and pays a lot of your bills, but you want to make enough money that you could live without them, not because you ever want to leave them, but you have that financial independence that you could support your family on your own if you needed to. One of my clients, her reason is she has 2 daughters, and she's like, I want them to see me make money and be successful. And so it has to be something that creates a fire underneath you. This can be challenging if you have someone else or another avenue paying your bills to find a compelling reason. If you have a partner that pays your bills and you're not in need of money, if you have a job that you like that's paying your bills and so you don't need money, this is where the compelling reason can be really tricky and harder to find. Because if your business makes more money this month, that's great, but you still, like, you don't wake up in the morning panicked, like, I have to figure out how to pay rent next month. And you kind of need that fire. So if you live with your parents, if you're, younger estheticians, like, no, there's no shame there, but that, like, you don't have that, like, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? If you're financially comfortable, then it is much more challenging to figure out your compelling reason. And I'm going to tell you, your compelling reason cannot be, my clients are happy in their skin, or my clients feel good about themselves, or even if you do acne, like, I can change their lives. It's not enough. It's not enough to get you up and going and doing the hard work when you're having a hard time personally, or just feeling exhausted and overwhelmed in general, even if everything else is good in your life. It has to be something that is a fire deep in your soul, and it is constantly blazing, and you can feel it. And it does not stop. You wake up in the morning, you feel it. You go to bed, you feel it. And not necessarily a panic, like, I'm not going to have food. That sometimes can create the opposite effect. It can create freeze as opposed to action. But it needs to be this, I'm going to make this work no matter what because of X. So if you don't have this reason that is creating that fire for you, then you have to sit and really think about it. And if the things that just keep coming into your head is, well, my clients, if I had to guess, you're undercharging, you're not selling skincare, and you're not really making a lot of money because you are approaching your business as a nonprofit, as a service that you're providing to people, not a business that people are buying a service from. Like, people come to you and are purchasing this service and you're providing it, versus a nonprofit, volunteer, where you serve people for free, which is amazing, but that is not what we're doing here. We have to separate those two things in your brain. You can create incredible service, authentic, incredible relationships with your clients, deeply care about them, do all the wonderful things that you do and make you as a person and you an amazing esthetician, and be there for the money. The money is the reason you're there. And it does not make you greedy. It does not make you selfish. It does not make you materialistic. It makes you a business owner. That's what a business owner is. Like, if you owned a restaurant, people need to eat to survive, right? We need to eat food, drink water to live, right? And you were like, well, there's all these people who can't afford to go out to eat. So we're going to just discount it so heavily that we're just breaking even. But these people got to eat, so that's amazing. Well, that is amazing, but now you are in a nonprofit because your business is not making a profit. You can barely buy more food, which is why, food banks and different organizations are always asking for donations, because it's expensive. It's expensive to feed people. And if you want that to be what you do, you should open a food bank. You should not open a restaurant where people come and buy food that you've made for them, because they operate very differently. They're structured very differently. And the expectation from the people who go to the food bank versus going to a restaurant is very different. Person going to a restaurant and spending $20 on a meal is expecting the food to be made for them. Like, the restaurant is nice. It has, like, there's all of these things that you're paying for besides the food being prepared for you. Versus the food bank is they are just giving you, like, dry goods so that you can feed yourself at home. So you can't open a restaurant and your compelling reason is people need to be fed and people feel really happy if they've been fed. That will not work. Your compelling reason is you want to be the best restaurant in your area. You want to see how much money you can make in a year. There has to be many other reasons. And when businesses a lot of times open, they have investors. They have, whether it's a bank or, venture capitalists that will invest in businesses, big businesses that are, millions of dollars to run. And the reason the bank is investing, the reason venture capitalists are investing is because they want to make money. Even if it is the best and most amazing service that they are providing or product they're providing, they aren't doing it to make themselves like for the good of their heart. They aren't doing it for the good of their heart. That may be an amazing bonus, but they're doing it because they need to make money. And if this is super uncomfortable for you, if you're like, Brittany, this is not why I went into business, then you need to sit down and figure out, why did you go into business? Because if you went into business because you wanted to help people with their skin and that was it, then you can just go work as an esthetician. There's so many places that you can help people with their skin. You don't have to do all the hard business stuff. You don't have to worry about marketing. You don't have to worry about finances. You don't have to worry about profit and loss. You just go, you get paid for your time. You get your commission on your product sales, and you get to go home and totally relax, right? Like, you don't have any responsibilities beyond your job. But if you went into business, the reason should be to make money, to make a lot more money than if you work for someone else. And a lot of business owners out there are making the same or less than if they work for someone else. And that is because they don't have a compelling reason. Usually when I've met estheticians, whether they turn into clients or not, if we do discovery calls or whatever, that are stuck at making a certain amount of money and they're really struggling, kind of making more than $3,000 or $4,000 or $2,000 a month in their business, is because their compelling reason isn't they really want to make a lot of money. Because I haven't met someone who that isn't a fire in their belly and they haven't made more money. Sometimes people will tell me that, but that's not the fire. It's like they know that's what it should be, but they don't feel that fire. So if you're like, yes, I know it should be to make more money, but when I am saying that, I don't feel that fire in my belly. That's like, let's effing go. Let's figure this out. So if there's a disconnect there, we need to figure that out. You and I, we want my clients, and we need to figure that out. You're going to take a lot of self-reflection to figure out why that's not the fire. And normally when that happens, it's because your bills are being paid for by another means. You have another job, you have a partner or someone that is helping, pay your bills. And so you don't have the fear. Have you, I don't know if you're a Friends fan. And anyways, basically Rachel quits her job at one point and they're like, you need to feel the fear. Like, you can't just apply for jobs with a job because you don't have that fear of that you have to pay your bills. You're just like, I still have another job. It's not a big deal. I'm not suggesting quitting your job if that's paying your bills, but you have to change the way you think about the money that's coming in. And like, for instance, like my husband makes enough to pay our bills. So I am in that situation. But my fire is, what if something happened to him? And now I have all of these bills to pay and I don't have a means to pay them. That is not a situation I ever want to be in. I never want to be like, I have to, move back home with my dad, which wouldn't be the end of the world. I'm not shaming you if you've had to do that. Those are decisions you have to make with certain, circumstances in your life. But I want to be able to pay all of our bills as well by myself if needed. That is my fire. That is my why. So I would love to know what comes up for you in this episode. If you have any thoughts, if things like light bulb, please let me know. Please DM me, especially if you share this episode for my giveaway. I really hope you get it. I'm really excited to see how many people are entering. And again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening. I so appreciate it. And I will be back next week for another episode. Bye for now.